We got to begin with the big news involving Jake Paul.
I'm going to shock the world once again and prove how good I am, how powerful I am. This is the toughest fight to date.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to see is not a drill.
And I'm going to embarrass him and make him quit like he always does.
The rumors were real.
Jake Paul is back June 28th.
This guy is a great fighter, and I want to test myself against the best in the world.
The contracts were signed.
And he is going to face your Mexican brethren, Julio César Chávez Jr.
The punches were thrown. And now, we've got the full breakdown of one of the most unexpected yet utterly electric matchups in recent boxing history. Jake Paul.
Man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Julio César Chávez Jr.
Julio César Chávez Jr. will be a perfect fit for this whole Jake Paul experiment, of him wanting to one day fight for a world title.
Once a YouTube sensation turned prize fighter.
Dile que cuando él nació, yo ya era campeón, dile.
When you were born, I was already a champ.
The other, a former world champion, the son of a Mexican boxing legend. But on this night, names didn't matter.
I don't want any excuses, and when I beat this man, all the boxing media, like you guys always do, are going to discredit it. But I'm going to expose him, and I'm going to embarrass him. He's the embarrassment of Mexico.
Fame didn't matter, only fists. And now, let's break down exactly what goes down when Jake Paul meets Julio César Chávez Jr. This wasn't just entertainment. This was a powder keg. A fight between two men who've been doubted, criticized, mocked, and yet both know how to spell danger inside that ring. Jake Paul may have started as a YouTuber.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer. And you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever.
But he's knocked out trained fighters, outboxed former UFC champions, and silenced skeptics every time he laced up the gloves. He's younger, faster, and carries real knockout power. The right hand, it's a missile. Born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1997, Jake started his journey on Vine and YouTube. But by 2020, he flipped the script. He wasn't just an influencer dabbling in boxing. He became a boxer with a vlogging past. He was taking it seriously. Training under BJ Flores, Paul dedicated himself to the craft.
As a boxer, Jake Paul is really 2-1. He has fought 3 actual boxers.
Over time, he's beaten former NBA stars, MMA champions, and experienced strikers. He brings athleticism, power, and most importantly, self-belief. Jake Paul believes he can beat anyone, and sometimes that's enough. But on the other side, Julio César Chávez Jr. is no ordinary fighter. He's the son of one of the greatest boxers ever, and for a time, he looked like he could follow in his father's footsteps. When he's focused, when he's in shape, when he's dialed in, Chavez Jr. is a nightmare. A natural 168-pounder with real experience, veteran savvy, and brutal body work. But this may just be his last shot at redemption.
He's 39 years old. He's been very inactive. I think he's had like 1 fight, and he fought a guy that was 1-0 in the last 3.5 years. So he checks every single box of the right wrist.
Chavez Jr. was born into Mexican boxing royalty in 1986. He had gloves on before he could walk. With a pro debut in 2003, he racked up win after win, eventually becoming the WBC middleweight champion in 2011. With over 60 fights to his name, he shared the ring with some of the best, including Canelo Alvarez, Danny Jacobs, and Sergio Martinez. Chavez Jr.'s downfall has been discipline, weight issues, lack of focus. But when he wants to fight, he's still a force to be reckoned with. This fight wasn't just dangerous, it was volatile. The internet kid versus the boxing royal. Youth versus legacy. Hunger versus pride.
There's two things you can't beat, me and your drug addiction.
Jake Paul's young but formidable professional record currently stands at 9 wins, 1 loss, 6 knockouts, with most notable wins including Tyron Woodley, the legend, Anderson Silva, and the frankly dangerous Nate Diaz. He may not be elite, but Jake knows how to use his range, how to time counters, and how to stay composed under pressure. But try to imagine comparing that to the staggering and experienced record of Julio César Chávez Jr.'s with a monumental 53 wins, 34 by obliterating knockout, 7 losses, and only 1 draw.
A famous last name like Chavez, a known quitter like Chavez Jr.
Most notably, Chavez triumphed over titans in the game, such as Andy Lee and Marco Antonio Rubio. He infamously lost to Canelo Alvarez, Sergio Martinez, and even Daniel Jacobs back in 2019. Julio Jr. was once 46-0, a WBC middleweight world champion, and a legit power puncher with a granite chin. At his best, he was simply the king. At his worst, he lost to Anderson Silva, missed weight, and was booed out of his own country.
I'm gonna show him who the real Mexican warrior is.
Chavez Jr. clearly holds the edge in experience by 100 miles. But the key question, how much of that experience is still active? Chavez hasn't looked sharp in recent years, and some would argue Jake has all the momentum of the world stage heading into this bout. Think about it. Jake Paul has consistently proven immense power in both hands. He has youth on his side. His cardio seems impeccable to date, and his confidence under pressure has not yet faulted him once. But this young maverick is still pretty inexperienced. He is yet to be tested over a full 12 hard rounds in the ring with an elite opponent. I mean, seriously, when is this guy gonna fight someone his age, his weight, with a proven track record?
Dime a uno que haya noqueado.
Give me one name he's knocked out.
Uno.
Just one.
But this isn't Jake Paul versus another retired MMA guy. This is Jake Paul stepping in with a fighter who's had 60 pro bouts and grown up in boxing gyms since birth. Chavez Jr. may be inconsistent, but when motivated, his volume, body work, and pressure can break people. He throws punches in bunches and has a chin like a vault. At the same time, Jake is no longer a gimmick.
The feints, the foot movement, the way he lands shots, he fights like a boxer. He doesn't fight like a guy who's trying to box in a celebrity boxing match.
He's learned to stay calm, manage distance, and bait opponents into right hands. He has timing, conditioning, and real punching power, especially when countering. Against Anderson Silva, Paul showed poise and patience, even when Silva pressed him with elite veteran angles. And against Tyron Woodley, that knockout was simply vicious, unlocking and exemplifying his predator instinct for the killer blow. But against Tommy Fury, throughout the bout, Fury's superior jab, footwork, and ring experience controlled the pace. Paul struggled to consistently land clean shots and often found himself reacting rather than initiating, clearly exposing areas that still need sharpening in his boxing fundamentals and strategy. Fury outpointed Jake by staying on the move and piling up touches. Sound familiar? That's textbook Chavez Jr. when he's active. Indeed, Chavez Jr. undeniably excels at pressure fighting, bodywork, chin strength, not to mention elite footwork from years of sparring elite fighters. But despite Chavez Jr.'s elite pedigree in the sport, he simply isn't Tommy Fury. He's slower, older, and less consistent. Critics are quick to highlight his struggles with motivation, his past inconsistencies, and his tendency to fade in later rounds if not properly conditioned. Take it back to his fight with Canelo back in 2017. Chavez Jr. was outclassed, but he showed flashes of toughness. Against Andy Lee, he dominated with body shots and forward pressure. But in his loss to Anderson Silva, a 46-year-old MMA fighter, we saw what happens when Chavez shows up unfocused. And just bear in mind, Chavez Jr. lost to Anderson Silva, but Jake Paul fought him too and came out victorious. When two men from completely different worlds face the same legend, it raises one big question. Who handled the pressure better? Julio César Chávez Jr., a former world champion with boxing in his blood, and Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned wildcard of the fight game. Both stepped into the ring with the Spider, Anderson Silva, but only one walked away with more than just bragging rights. In 2021, Silva shocked the boxing world. He was 46, fighting a Mexican boxing legacy in his prime weight class. But Chavez Jr. looked sluggish, off balance. Silva toyed with him, fighting off the ropes, landing counters at will. It was artful. The judges gave Silva a split decision, but the eye test, that was domination. A year later, 25-year-old Jake Paul stepped up. Critics said it was a gimmick, but Jake came prepared. Measured footwork, improved jab, and most importantly, he respected Silva's timing. In the 8th, Paul dropped Silva with a clean right hand. The crowd erupted. A unanimous decision win, not without adversity, but it showed growth. The truth is, in this fight, by round 6, we'll know. Either Jake is gassing out from the pace, or Chavez is walking through cement. The winner won't be the flashiest puncher. It'll be the one who sticks to the plan, stays mentally strong, and fights disciplined. Chavez Jr. has the tools, but he needs the fire. Jake, he's got the hunger, the discipline, but can he execute when it matters?
There have been far worse Jake Paul opponents. That's kind of my perspective. There have been many worse opponents.
Jake Paul versus Julio César Chávez Jr. might sound like a joke, but this could be Jake's biggest test yet. And for Chavez Jr., it's not just a payday, it's a lifeline. And just what does victory mean for the winner? I mean, seriously, what's the point in a fight like this? Well, the money behind this matchup is eye-watering. Jake Paul's purse estimate sits at around 5 to 10 million base, while Chavez Jr.'s purse estimate equates to a humble 1 to 3 million. No small innings for the winner. Ad sponsors, brand deals, YouTube hype, TikTok virality, and this fight could easily pull in 20 to 30 million overall. Not bad for a matchup no one saw coming a year ago. Whether you love him or hate him, Jake Paul is here to stay. And if he beats a former world champion, the game changes again. Will he face Nate Diaz again? Tommy Fury in a rematch? Or does Jake now start hunting for real belts? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, and your eyes on the fight game. Because in boxing, anything can happen.